The stars looked peaceful from the bridge of the alien ship. Captain Zethkara stood with 4 arms crossed, watching the yellow sun grow bigger on the screen. His blue skin showed the calm patterns that meant he was happy. Today was special. Today, his crew would meet humans for the first time. "Captain, we are close to their planet," said his officer. A small green alien had large eyes that never blinked. "The humans have sent a message. They want to meet us at their space station." Zethkara nodded. He had done this job for 30 years. First contact with new species was always exciting. His team was the best in the galaxy. They had met over 50 different alien races and made friends with all of them. On the other side of the solar system, Commander Jake Morrison put on his dress uniform. He was a tall man with brown hair and kind eyes. At 45 years old, he had seen many things, but never aliens. Today would change everything for Earth. "Sir, the alien ship is beautiful," said Lieutenant Carol Hughes. She was looking at the screens showing the approaching vessel. "It looks like it's made of crystal and light." Jake smiled. "Remember, Carol, these beings come from worlds very different from ours. We need to be careful and respectful." The alien ship was indeed beautiful. It moved through space like a dancing butterfly, with no sharp edges or hard metals. Everything about it seemed soft and gentle. The humans had built their space station from steel and concrete. It looked like a fortress compared to the alien vessel. Captain Zethkara brought his best team for this meeting. There was Dr. Hintel, a scientist from the water world of Aquatica. Her people looked like dolphins, but could walk on land. There was Engineer Krisinok, whose crystal body could sing in colors. And there was Navigator Velthara, who came from a gas giant where people floated like clouds. All of these beings were proud of their worlds. Dr. Hintel often talked about the challenging storms on Aquatica, where waves could reach 5 feet high. Engineer Krisinok spoke of the dangerous temperature changes on his world, where it could get as cold as 10 degrees below zero. Navigator Velthara considered her home extreme because of the strong winds that could reach 50 miles per hour. The docking was smooth. The aliens wore special suits that looked like bubbles made of light. They moved carefully, as if everything might break. Jake and his team waited in the main meeting room. They had prepared everything carefully. The room was set to 22 degrees Celsius, which they thought was perfect for everyone. When the two groups met, there was a moment of wonder. The aliens stared at the humans with their large eyes. The humans looked back with equal curiosity. Jake stepped forward first. "Welcome to our space station," he said. "I am Commander Jake Morrison. We are honored to meet you." Captain Zethkara. Translator worked perfectly. "I am Captain Zethkara of the Galactic Survey Fleet. We are pleased to meet the humans of Earth." The first hour went very well. They shared pictures of their worlds and talked about their cultures. The aliens were impressed by human art and music. The humans were amazed by the alien technology and their peaceful way of life. Then Dr. Hintel asked a simple question. "Commander Morrison, we would like to visit your world. What kind of protection do we need?" Jake thought this was easy to answer. "Well, we've prepared a nice area for you. It's in what we call a temperate zone. Very mild weather. The temperature stays between 15 and 25 degrees Celsius most days." The aliens looked at each other with concern. Engineer Krisinok's crystal body flashed red, which meant he was worried. "That is a very wide temperature range," he said. "On my world, we consider a change of 5 degrees to be extreme weather." Jake looked confused. 5 degrees? But that's nothing. Sometimes in one day, our temperature can change by 20 degrees. That's just normal weather. Dr. Hintel made a sound like a dolphin in distress. 20 degrees in one day? That would kill most life forms? Kill? Jake laughed. No, that's just Tuesday. Last week, the temperature in our meeting zone went from 5 degrees to 30 degrees. We thought that was pretty mild for spring. The aliens went very quiet. Navigator Valthara spoke in a whisper. What about your gravity? How strong is it? Standard. Earth gravity, Jake said. 1 GY. Captain Zethkara had to sit down. His blue skin turned pale. 1 G? That's twice the gravity of our homeworld. That would crush our bones. Jake was starting to understand that something was wrong. Wait, what gravity do you normally live in? 0.5 G at most, said Dr. Heintel. Anything more than that is impossible for most species. And your atmosphere? Asked Engineer Krisanok. What is it made of? Mostly nitrogen and oxygen, Jake said. About 21% oxygen. The aliens made sounds of shock. 21% oxygen? Captain Zethkara stood up quickly. That's poison. That much oxygen would burn our lungs. Most species can only handle 5% oxygen. At most. Jake looked at his team. Lieutenant Hughes stepped forward. Perhaps we should explain more about Earth, she said carefully. For the next hour, Jake and his team described their world. They talked about hurricanes with winds of 200 miles per hour. They mentioned earthquakes that could destroy entire cities. They explained about volcanoes that could cover the sky with ash, and about deserts where the temperature could reach 50 degrees Celsius. With each new fact, the aliens looked more and more frightened. When Jake mentioned that humans actually lived in these places, Captain Zethkara's forearms began to shake. You mean, the captain said slowly, that humans live naturally in these conditions? Of course, Jake said. Where else would we live? Dr. Heintel looked at her computer and ran some quick calculations. Her dolphin face turned white. According to our databases, the conditions you describe are impossible for life to exist. But we do exist, said Lieutenant Hughes, and we're not even the toughest life on our planet. We have animals that live in boiling water, and others that survive in the vacuum of space. Engineer Krisanok's crystal body flashed many colors at once. This is impossible. Our science says that no world can be that dangerous and still support life. Jake realized that this first contact was not going as anyone had planned. The aliens were not just surprised by Earth's conditions. They were terrified. And Jake was beginning to understand that maybe, just maybe, Earth was not the normal, peaceful world he had always thought it was. Captain Zethkara looked at his team, then back at the humans. Commander Morrison, I think we need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. What you have told us changes everything we know about life in the universe. Jake nodded. Whatever you need, Captain. We're here to help. But as he looked at the frightened aliens, Jake wondered if Earth's help might be more than the galaxy was ready for. 3 weeks after first contact, Dr. Lisa Park stood in the biggest meeting room she had ever seen. The Galactic Council chamber was huge, with seats for thousands of different alien species. The air felt thick and strange, but her breathing mask helped her feel normal. Lisa was a simple woman from Colorado. She studied plants and animals for a living. She had spent her whole life hiking in the mountains and swimming in cold lakes. She never thought this made her special. Today, she was about to learn how wrong she was. Dr. Park, said the council. Speaker, a tall alien with skin like tree bark. Please tell us about your home world. We want to understand Earth better. Lisa smiled and turned on her computer. I'd be happy to. Earth is a beautiful planet with many different places to live. The first picture showed a sunny meadow with flowers and trees. The aliens in the front row seemed to relax. This looked normal to them. This is a typical spring day in Colorado, Lisa said. The temperature is about 20 degrees Celsius. Very nice weather. An alien with purple skin raised a tentacle. "Excuse me, Dr. Park. What is the temperature range in this area?" "Oh, it changes quite a bit," Lisa said. "In winter, it can drop to -30 degrees. In summer, it might reach 40 degrees. So about 70 degrees of change through the year." The chamber went quiet. Several aliens made worried sounds. The purple alien's tentacle was shaking. 70 degrees of change? That's impossible. No planet can have such extreme temperature swings. Lisa looked confused. Extreme? But Colorado is known for mild weather. If you want extreme, you should see Alaska or Death Valley. She clicked to the next picture. It showed a massive tornado spinning across a flat plain. The funnel cloud was black and reached from the ground to the sky. "This is a tornado," Lisa explained. "They're pretty common in the middle of America. The winds can reach 300 miles per hour. People take shelter when they see them coming." Half the aliens in the chamber stood up and started talking at once. Their voices filled the room with sounds of fear and confusion. Dr. Krinith, the council's top scientist, had to bang his gavel to make them quiet. "Dr. Park," he said, his voice shaking. "Did you say 300 miles per hour winds?" "Yes, that's right," Lisa said. "Though that's just the big ones. Regular storms might only have winds of 50 or 60 miles per hour." Dr. Krinith looked at his computer screen. "Our strongest storms have winds of 20 miles per hour. Anything more than that destroys buildings and kills people." "Really?" Lisa seemed surprised. "We build our houses to survive much stronger winds than that. Would you like to see more pictures?" Before anyone could answer, she clicked to the next slide. It showed a volcano erupting, with lava shooting high into the air and red-hot rock flowing down the mountain like a river of fire. "This is Mount Kilauea in Hawaii," Lisa said. "It's been erupting for over 30 years. People live all around it. Some even have hotels where tourists can watch the lava flows." The chamber erupted in chaos. Aliens were running for the exits. Others were calling on their communication devices. Some were just staring at the screen in shock. Counselor Vex High of the Mineral Communion stood up. His rock-like body was changing colors rapidly. "Dr. Park, there must be a mistake in translation. You cannot mean that people live near an active volcano." "Oh yes," Lisa said. "Hawaii has millions of people living on volcanic islands. The soil is very good for growing food." "But the heat," said another alien. "The poisonous gases, the lava that can melt anything." "Well, you stay away from the lava," Lisa laughed. "But the gases aren't too bad if you're not right at the crater. And the heat just means you don't need much clothing." Dr. Krinith was typing furiously on his computer. "Dr. Park, I am running your planet's data through our classification system. Are you sure these numbers are correct?" Lisa nodded. "I double-checked everything. Would you like to see more? I have pictures of hurricanes, earthquakes, lightning storms, and blizzards." No, Dr. Krinith said quickly. "That won't be necessary." He stared at his screen. "This is impossible. According to our database, your planet scores beyond the maximum level of our Deathworld classification system." "Deathworld?" Lisa asked. "What's that?" An alien that looked like a large jellyfish floated forward. "A Deathworld is a planet with conditions so dangerous that life should not be able to exist. We have found 12 Deathworlds in our galaxy. All of them are empty. No life at all. But Earth is full of life," Lisa said. "We have millions of different species of plants and animals." "That's what makes this so incredible," Dr. Krinith said. "Your planet is more dangerous than any Deathworld we've ever found. But instead of being empty, it's the most alive planet in the galaxy." The chamber was filling up again as aliens returned to their seats. They wanted to hear more, even though they were frightened. Lisa continued her presentation. She showed them pictures of the Amazon rainforest, where it rained almost every day, and the humidity was so high that most aliens would drown just breathing the air. She showed them the Sahara Desert, where the temperature could cook most alien species in minutes. She showed them the Arctic, where the cold would freeze their blood solid. "And people live in all these places?" asked a small alien with big eyes. "Yes," Lisa said. "Not just live, but thrive. We have cities in the desert, towns in the rainforest, and research stations in the Arctic. We adapt to the conditions." Dr. Kreenith stood up. "Dr. Park, I need to ask you something very important. How do humans survive in these conditions?" Lisa thought for a moment. "We're just built for it, I guess. We can handle temperature changes. We can survive in different air pressures. And we can eat almost anything. Our bodies are pretty tough." "Tough?" The scientist's voice was high with stress. "Dr. Park, based on what you've told us, humans can survive in conditions that would kill 99% of known species in the galaxy." The room went silent. Lisa looked around at all the staring eyes. She was starting to understand that maybe Earth wasn't as normal as she had thought. "Are you saying that Earth is unusual?" she asked. "Unusual?" Dr. Kreenith laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Dr. Park, Earth isn't just unusual. It's impossible. According to everything we know about life in the universe, your planet should be a dead rock floating in space." Counselor Vex High spoke up. "We need to create a new classification system. Earth doesn't just exceed our Deathworld scale. It breaks it completely. What should we call it?" asked another counselor. The chamber was quiet for a long time. Finally, Dr. Kreenith spoke. "I suggest we call it what it is. Earth isn't just a death world. It's the death world, the most dangerous planet that has ever supported life." The vote was unanimous. Earth became the first planet in galactic history to receive its own classification level. As Lisa packed up her computer, she realized that her simple presentation had changed how the entire galaxy thought about life itself. Walking back to her ship, Lisa smiled. She couldn't wait to tell her friends back home that their little mountain town in Colorado was now considered one of the most dangerous places in the galaxy. They would probably just laugh and go hiking. The emergency call came at 3 in the morning. Captain Ben Rodriguez was drinking coffee in his small apartment when his phone rang. He was used to emergency calls. As head of Earth's new crisis response team, he got them all the time. "Captain Rodriguez," said the voice on the phone, "we have a situation. The mining colony on Kepler 442b has had a major earthquake. 3,000 alien miners are trapped underground." Ben put down his coffee cup. "How many rescue teams are already there?" 17 different alien rescue teams, the voice said. "But Captain, they can't get to the miners. The conditions are too dangerous. The Galactic Council is asking for our help." Ben looked at his watch. "I'll have a team ready in 2 hours." Ben called his best people. First was Amy Watson, an engineer from Texas who could build anything from spare parts. Then came Dr. Kevin Chong, who understood how different alien species thought and felt. Finally, he called Lieutenant Carol Hughes, who had been with him on dozens of rescue missions. 6 hours later, their ship landed on Kepler 442b. The planet looked like a nightmare. The sky was dark red, and the ground was covered in sharp black rocks. The air was thick with poisonous gases, and the gravity was twice as strong as Earth's. Ben and his team walked off their ship wearing normal spacesuits. Around them, alien rescue teams were huddled in massive protective shelters that looked like small buildings. The alien rescuers were wearing armor so thick they could barely move. Commander Zixnal of the Centauran Rescue Corps met them at the landing site. His blue skin was pale with worry. "Captain Rodriguez, I'm glad you're here, but I must warn you, The conditions are impossible. The gravity is crushing. The air will dissolve your lungs. The ground shakes every few minutes. Ben looked around. The planet reminded him of rescue missions he'd done in earthquake zones back on Earth. "Commander, what's the biggest problem?" "Everything," Zixinal said. The mine shaft collapsed 3 miles underground. The temperature down there is 60 degrees Celsius. The air pressure would crush most beings, and the toxic gases would kill anyone in seconds. Amy Watson checked her equipment. 60 degrees? That's hot, but not too bad. I've worked in foundries hotter than that. The alien commander stared at her. You've worked in temperatures of 60 degrees? Well, not for long periods, Amy said. But yeah, humans can handle that for a while with the right gear. Dr. Chong was studying the geological data. Ben, this looks like the earthquake we dealt with in Chile last year. Same type of rock, similar depth. We should be able to get down there. Commander Zixinal was shaking his head. Dr. Chong, my teams have been trying for 3 days. We can't even get our equipment close to the mine entrance. The ground is too unstable. Ben walked over to look at the mine entrance. The opening was surrounded by cracked rock and twisted metal. Poisonous steam was coming out of the hole. Around the entrance, alien equipment was scattered and broken. "Amy," Ben called. "What do you think?" Amy looked at the damage and started making notes. "I can work with this. The main support beam is cracked, but it's still holding. We need to shore up the entrance and create a breathing system for the miners." "The breathing system is impossible," said an alien engineer. "The air down there is pure poison." "Not for humans," Amy said. "We'll just need to clear out the worst of the gases and pump in some oxygen. Basic mining safety." Lieutenant Hughes was already putting together the rescue plan. "Ben, I've been in coal mines that collapsed like this. If we work fast, we can have the first miners out in 12 hours. The alien rescue teams watched in amazement as the humans went to work. What had seemed impossible to them was just another day at the office for the humans. Ben's team worked through the night. The planet's gravity, which was crushing the alien rescuers, just made the humans move a little slower. The poisonous air that required massive protection suits for the aliens was handled by the humans with simple breathing masks. Amy welded support beams while standing in 60-degree heat. Dr. Chong went down into the mine shaft to talk to the trapped miners, walking through air that would kill most species. Lieutenant Hughes organized the rescue operation while toxic steam swirled around her. How are they doing this? Commander Zixinal asked Dr. Chong when he came back up from the mine. "Doing what?" Dr. Chong asked, pulling off his breathing mask. "Surviving. Down there. My people can't even get close to the mine entrance without full environmental suits." Dr. Chong looked confused. "It's not that bad. A little hot, a little smoky, but nothing we can't handle. The hardest part is the gravity, but we'll get used to it." By dawn, the first group of miners was rescued. The aliens came up from the mine shaft looking shocked. They had been sure they were going to die. Instead, they found human rescuers working in conditions that seemed impossible. "You saved us," said one of the miners, a small alien with large eyes. "We thought no one could reach us." "Just doing our job," Ben said. Over the next 2 days, all 3,000 miners were rescued. The alien rescue teams watched the entire operation with wonder. The humans made it look easy. When the last miner was brought to safety, Commander Zixinal called a meeting with Ben's team. "Captain Rodriguez," he said, "I need to ask you something. Are all humans like you?" Ben thought about it. "Like us how?" "Able to survive in impossible conditions. Able to work in places that would kill most beings." Ben looked at his team. Amy was fixing a broken piece of equipment while sitting in the middle of a poisonous gas cloud. Dr. Chong was having a friendly conversation with some of the rescued miners while standing in the blazing heat. Lieutenant Hughes was organizing supplies while the ground shook under her feet. "I guess so," Ben said. "This is pretty normal for us." Commander Zixenal nodded slowly. "Captain, I think the galaxy is going to need your help more often." Ben smiled. "We're ready when you need us." As their ship lifted off from Kepler 442b, Ben looked back at the planet. The alien rescue teams were still wearing their heavy protective gear, still huddled in their shelters. But the miners were safe. Dr. Chong sat down next to him. "Ben, do you think we're different from other species?" Ben watched the red planet get smaller below them. "I don't know, Kevin, but I'm starting to think that maybe growing up on Earth made us tougher than we realized." Lieutenant Hughes came up from the cargo hold. "The Galactic Council is sending us another emergency call. A space station is in trouble near a dangerous star." Ben finished his coffee and stood up. "Well, team, looks like we're needed again." Amy looked up from her equipment repairs. "What kind of dangerous star?" "One that puts out enough radiation to kill most species," Hughes said. Amy shrugged. "Doesn't sound too bad. At least there's no gravity to worry about." As their ship jumped to hyperspace, Ben realized that his team had become something the galaxy had never seen before. They were specialists in surviving the impossible. And judging by the emergency calls they were getting, the galaxy needed them more than they knew. The planet Zorthkiel hung in space like a ball of nightmares. Commander Steve Parker looked at it through the window of the expedition ship and whistled low. Even from orbit, the planet looked angry. Purple lightning danced across blood red clouds, and the surface glowed with the heat of 1,000 volcanoes. "That's where we're going?" asked Lieutenant Carroll Hughes, standing beside him. "That's where the archives are," Steve said. "The most important historical records in the galaxy, buried on the most dangerous planet anyone has ever found." The expedition ship, starward bound, carried the best technology the galaxy could offer. It had shields that could stop stars, radiation, armor that could survive in the heart of a gas giant, and environmental systems that could keep a crew alive anywhere in the universe. Or so they thought. Captain Mordock of the Stellar Engineering Corps was in charge of the mission. He was a proud being whose people had conquered 3 different types of deadly environments. His thick skin could survive temperatures that would boil water. His people were known across the galaxy as the toughest species alive. "Commander Parker," Captain Mordock said, "I want you to know that your team is here as advisors only. When we reach the surface, you will stay on the ship. This planet is far too dangerous for humans." Steve nodded politely. "Whatever you think is best, Captain." The human team was small. Besides Steve and Carl, there was Sergeant Mike Johnson, a man from Montana who had served in the military for 20 years. He was quiet and calm, the kind of person who never got excited about anything. The ship began its descent into Zorthkiel's atmosphere. Immediately, alarms started going off. The shields were overloading from the radiation. The armor was heating up from the acid rain. The environmental systems were working at maximum power just to keep the ship's air breathable. "Captain," called the ship's engineer, "we're losing power to the shields." Captain Mordock looked worried. "How much power do we have left?" "At this rate, maybe 6 hours before total failure." Steve looked at the readings on his computer. The radiation levels were high, but not worse than some places on Earth. The acid rain was strong, but he'd seen stronger acid in some volcanic areas. The temperature was hot, but not as hot as Death Valley in summer. "Captain," Steve said carefully, "maybe we can help with the power problem." "How?" Mordock asked. "Well, these conditions aren't that bad by Earth standards. Maybe we don't need all the shielding." The alien crew stared at him. "Commander Parker, the radiation out there would kill most species in minutes." "Most species, yes," Steve said. But humans are pretty tough. We might be able to work outside the ship for short periods. Captain Marduk's face showed shock. Work outside? In this environment? That's suicide. But as the ship's systems continued to fail, they had no choice. The shields went down completely as they landed on the surface. The armor began to crack. From the acid rain, the environmental systems were failing. Captain, Steve said, we need to get to those archives fast, or we'll all die when the ship breaks down. Marduk looked at his readings. The archives are 2 miles underground in a cave system. The path leads through areas with temperatures of 80 degrees, radiation levels off our charts, and air that would dissolve your lungs. Sergeant Johnson spoke up. 80 degrees? That's not too bad. I've been in hotter places. And the radiation? Marduk asked. Carol checked her equipment. We have suits that can handle that for a few hours. It's strong, but not deadly if we're careful. The air will kill you, Marduk insisted. We have breathing gear, Steve said. And honestly, I've been in coal mines with worse air than this. The alien crew watched in disbelief as the humans put on their equipment. While the aliens needed massive environmental suits that looked like small spaceships, the humans just put on thick clothes, breathing masks, and radiation detectors. This is insane, Marduk said. You're going to die out there. Steve smiled. Captain, we grew up on Earth. This is just another Tuesday for us. The humans left the ship and walked into hell. The surface of Zorthkiel was covered in sharp rocks and pools of acid. The air was thick with poison gases. Lightning struck the ground every few seconds, and the heat was like standing next to a giant oven. Well, said Mike Johnson, looking around, it's not as bad as I expected. Really? Carol asked. Yeah, I was expecting worse. This is like that time I had to rescue some hikers from that volcano in Hawaii. Steve checked his map. The cave entrance is half a mile that way. Let's get moving. They walked across the hellish landscape like they were taking a stroll in the park. The acid rain that was dissolving the ship's armor just made their clothes a little damp. The lightning that was terrifying the alien crew was just something to avoid like traffic back home. The cave entrance was a crack in the ground that went down into darkness. Poisonous steam rose from the opening, and the heat coming out was enough to cook most alien species. Down we go, Steve said, and climbed into the cave. The journey underground was like walking through the world's most dangerous mine. The walls dripped with acid. The air was so hot it hurt to breathe. The radiation levels were high enough to kill most beings in hours, but the humans kept going. They had grown up on a planet where nature tried to kill them every day. This was just more of the same. You know, Carol said, as they walked through a tunnel filled with poisonous gas, this reminds me of that cave system in Mexico we explored last year. The one with the toxic air? Mike asked. That's the one. This is actually not as bad. At least we can see where we're going. They found the archives in a great chamber deep underground. The walls were covered in crystal formations that held the galaxy's most ancient knowledge. The information was stored in a way that could survive anything the universe could throw at it, except the chamber was filled with radiation, so strong it glowed in the dark. The temperature was over 90 degrees. The air was poison. I can't believe we made it, Steve said, looking at the beautiful crystals. I can't believe this is where they decided to store the archives, Carol said. Who would put important information in a place like this? Mike was already starting to gather. The crystal storage devices. Probably someone who wanted to make sure only the toughest species could ever get to them. As they worked, Steve realized something. The ancient race that had built this place had chosen Zorthkiel for a reason. They had wanted to put their most important knowledge somewhere that no one could ever reach it. They had never imagined that a species like humans could exist. A species that could walk through conditions that would kill almost everyone else in the galaxy. The trip back to the ship took 3 hours. When they climbed out of the cave, they found the alien crew waiting for them in amazement. "You're alive," Captain Mordack said. "How is that possible?" "We got the archives," Steve said, holding up a bag full of crystal devices. Mission accomplished. As the ship lifted off from Zorthkiel, Steve looked back at the planet. The alien crew was still in shock. They had just watched 3 humans walk through conditions that their best scientists had said were impossible. To survive. "Commander Parker," Captain Mordack said, "I need to ask you something. Are there any conditions that humans can't survive?" Steve thought about it. "I don't know, Captain. We haven't found them yet." Corral looked at the crystal archives. They had recovered. "You know what I think? I think whoever built these archives was testing the galaxy. They wanted to see if any species was tough enough to get their knowledge." "And?" Mike asked. "And I think we just passed the test." As they jumped to hyperspace, Steve realized that the galaxy was about to learn something new about humans. They weren't just tough enough to survive on Earth. They were tough enough to go places that had been considered impossible for millions of years. The galaxy was about to discover that humans weren't just survivors. They were the ultimate survivors. Admiral Kate Thompson stood on the bridge of the Earth's shield and looked out at the stars. 6 months had passed since the Zorthkiel mission, and everything in the galaxy had changed. Her ship was now the headquarters of the human crisis. Response Corps, and she was the first human to hold the rank of Admiral in the Galactic Fleet. "Admiral," said her aide, Lieutenant Dan Brooks, "we have 3 new emergency calls. A radiation storm near the Vega system, a collapsing space station in the Centauri sector, and a volcanic eruption on the colony world of New Terra." Kate smiled. "Send teams to all 3. Dr. Alex Rivera can handle the radiation storm. Engineer. Maria Santos can fix the space station. And Captain Nick Roberts can deal with the volcano." A year ago, these 3 emergencies would have been impossible to solve. Now they were just another day's work for the Human Crisis Response Corps. In the science lab, Dr. Alex Rivera was getting ready for his mission to the Vega system. The radiation storm there was so strong that it would kill most aliens in seconds. For Alex, it was just another day at the office. "Dr. Rivera," said his alien assistant, Kree Tal, "are you sure about this? The radiation levels are beyond anything we've ever measured." Alex checked his equipment. "Kree Tal, I grew up in Colorado. The radiation there is pretty strong because of the altitude. This is just more of the same. But the levels are 1,000 times stronger than Colorado." Kree Tal. "Saeed. Then I'll wear 1,000 times more protection," Alex laughed. "Don't worry, I've been in worse places." Meanwhile, engineer Maria Santos was preparing to fix the collapsing space station. The station was falling apart because it was too close to a dangerous star. The heat and radiation were so strong that no alien could get close enough to make repairs. "Maria," said her team leader, "the temperature near that star is over 100 degrees. The radiation will cook any normal being." Maria packed her. "Tools, 100 degrees? That's hot, but I've worked in steel mills that were hotter. And the radiation isn't much worse than some places on Earth." "Some places on Earth have radiation that strong?" her team leader asked. "Sure," Maria said. "There are natural hot springs that are radioactive. People actually swim in them for their health." The alien engineer stared at her. "Swim in radioactive water? For health?" "Humans are weird that way," Maria laughed. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Nick Roberts was landing on New Terra to deal with a volcanic eruption. The colony there was in panic because lava was flowing toward their city. "Captain Roberts," said Governor Hexnall, "thank goodness you're here. The lava will reach our city in 2 days. We must evacuate everyone. Nick looked at the volcano through his binoculars. Why evacuate? We can just redirect the lava flow. Redirect lava? The governor's tentacles waved in confusion. That's impossible. No one can get close enough to lava to redirect it. Governor, I'm from Hawaii. We redirect lava flows all the time. It's not that hard if you know what you're doing. The next day, Nick and his team walked right up to the lava flow. They used explosives to create new channels and built barriers to guide the molten rock away from the city. The alien colonists watched in amazement as humans worked just a few feet away from liquid rock hot enough to melt steel. How are they doing that? Asked one colonist. They're humans, Governor Hexnall said. I'm starting to think they can do anything. Back on the Earth's shield, Admiral Kate Thompson was dealing with a bigger problem. Some alien species were becoming too dependent on human help. Others were becoming jealous of human abilities. And a few were starting to fear that humans might take over the galaxy. Admiral, said Counselor Vex High over the communication screen, we need to talk. Some species are saying that humans are too powerful. They want limits placed on your crisis. Response corps. Kate sighed. Counselor, we're just trying to help. When someone calls for help, we answer. I know that, Vex High said, but you must understand. In 6 months, humans have solved problems that we thought were impossible. Some species feel useless. That's not our intention, Kate said. We just want to be good neighbors. The real test came 3 weeks later. The galactic core began to collapse. A massive black hole was growing larger, threatening to destroy the center of the galaxy. Every species in the Galactic Council sent their best scientists to study the problem. The conclusion was the same from everyone. Nothing could be done. The radiation near the galactic core was so strong it would kill any known life form. The gravity was so intense it would crush any ship. The energy fields were so powerful they would destroy any equipment. We estimate we have 6 months before the collapse spreads to inhabited systems. Dr. Kreeneth told the Emergency Council meeting. There is no known technology that can operate in those conditions. Admiral Kate Thompson stood up. Dr. Kreeneth, what exactly are the conditions near the galactic core? The scientist checked his notes. Radiation levels 10,000 times stronger than a star. Gravity 100 times stronger than a neutron star. Temperature hot enough to melt any known material. And energy fields that would destroy any electronic device. Kate nodded. That sounds challenging, but I think we can handle it. The entire council chamber went silent. Admiral Thompson, said the council speaker, did you say you can handle it? We can try, Kate said. Commander Nick Roberts has a plan. Nick stood up. The conditions near the galactic core remind me of the center of Earth. We have places where radiation, heat, and pressure are almost as strong. We've learned to work in those places. But the scales are completely different, Dr. Kreeneth protested. This is 1,000 times worse than anything on Earth. Then we'll build equipment. 1,000 times stronger, Nick said simply. Admiral Thompson, give me 50 volunteers and 6 weeks to prepare. We'll stabilize that black hole. The mission to save the galactic core became the most watched event in galactic history. Every species followed the news as Nick Roberts and his team of 50 humans flew into conditions that should have killed them instantly. Their ship was destroyed by the radiation within hours. Their backup equipment failed from the gravity. Their communication systems were fried by the energy fields. But the humans kept going. They worked in conditions that no other species could even imagine surviving. They built new equipment from the wreckage of their ship. They used their own bodies as shields against radiation that would kill most beings in seconds. For 3 days, there was no word from the mission. The galaxy held its breath. Then, suddenly, the black hole stopped growing. The galactic core stabilized. The collapse stopped. A week later, Nick Roberts and his team limped back to civilization in a ship they had built from spare parts. They were tired, radiation sick, and exhausted. But they were alive, and they had saved the galaxy. How did you do it? Dr. Kreeneth asked when Nick arrived at the space station. Nick sat down heavily in a chair. We just did what humans do. We adapted. We survived. We found a way. But the conditions were impossible, the scientist insisted. Nick smiled. Doctor, we come from Earth. Impossible is just another word for Tuesday. The rescue of the galactic core changed everything. No species in the galaxy would ever again question human abilities. More importantly, no species would ever again feel useless when humans were around. They realized that humans weren't trying to take over. They were trying to protect everyone. A year later, Admiral Kate Thompson stood in the same council chamber where Dr. Lisa Park had given her presentation about Earth, but now the chamber had a new section for human representatives, and the walls were covered with pictures of human rescue missions. Admiral Thompson, said the council speaker, the galaxy owes humanity a debt we can never repay. Kate shook her head. Council speaker, we're not looking for payment. We're just happy to help our neighbors. But why? Asked Counselor Vex High. Why do humans risk their lives for species they barely know? Kate thought about it. I think it's because we come from Earth. Our planet taught us that life is precious, and that we need to take care of each other to survive. When we see someone in trouble, we help. It's just who we are. The final scene took place in a classroom on the planet Centauria. Young aliens of 12 different species were learning about Earth in their galactic history class. Who can tell? Me about Earth? Asked the teacher. A small alien with big eyes raised her hand. Earth is the forge of champions. It's the planet that made the strongest people in the galaxy. That's right, said the teacher. Earth was once classified as a death world, but we learned that it wasn't a place of death. It was a place that created life so strong it could protect the entire galaxy. Another student raised a tentacle. Teacher, are humans really that tough? The teacher smiled. Let me tell you a story about the day humans saved the galactic core. And across the galaxy, in classrooms and homes, around dinner tables, and in meeting rooms, people told stories about the humans from Earth, the humans who could walk through fire and survive in the vacuum of space, the humans who could fix anything and save anyone, the humans who had turned out to be the galaxy's greatest gift to itself. Earth was no longer called a death world. It was called the Forge of Champions, the world that had created the galaxies. Protectors. And humanity had found its place in the stars, not as conquerors, but as guardians. As Admiral Kate Thompson often said in her speeches,